What is up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show. This is Evan with the Lemons with Clemmons. Today is a special day for me, and I'm super excited because it is the first day that I have a video included. So if you are listening on Spotify, you can go to the Facebook or YouTube page and you'll be able to see the video. And you can see me talking. There's nothing special going on. It's just me here, but it might make it easier to watch if you want to. You might see me drinking a little bit. You might see me, I don't know. Who knows what we're going to do. So thank you so much. If you are watching, I absolutely appreciate it. I love everybody, and I love all the comments I get, whether it be from people sending me messages or wanting to talk from people I know. There's just so much going on. I'm trying to figure everything out on top of doing, a full-time job and juggling being a father as well. So there's so much going on. So I just wanted to thank everybody so much for all the time that you give me by listening to any of these podcasts. Hopefully the video makes it a little more enjoyable for you. All right. It's enjoyable for me. I'm trying to figure out where I want to look at this thing, and because I'm looking back at myself too, so I keep looking at me. So it's not like I'm actually looking to the camera. So bear with me on that. Lighting isn't the best. Working on that too. Again, bear with me. We're making strides though. And so I actually have a little bit written down here, so you might hear me rattling. I'm gonna a paper around. I'm trying to do a little less editing. Okay, because I think it'll be a little glitchy just seeing cuts and edits whenever there's a video involved. So trying to make it as less edited as possible. Now, with that said, I need to take a drink of water before I go on a rant. That's some tasty water. I love water. First of all, I love water. I don't drink anything else other than water. I have to have it filtered a certain way. I don't like just regular tap water. If you put a bunch of water in front of me with different bottled water, I'd be able to tell you which one it is because I just drink it so much. I know the different tastes. I know that's a fun fact about me. It has nothing to do with today's lemon. Today's lemon actually is the state of the restaurant and where we're at right now. Because I've actually had this question asked to me. I've had people I know in person. I've had messages actually wanting to know what is going on with restaurants. There's so many people going out to eat, and there's problems left and right. It could be from staffing issues to product shortages that they don't have the product, or the liquor or the beer, or the service in general. The service, if you go anywhere, just seems like it's not what it was by any means. Now, I will say staffing is an issue. And that's across the board. And that's not just with restaurants. I think that's pretty much everything right now. It is a problem everywhere you look. It doesn't matter if it's a restaurant or, your local Target or Walmart or your Starbucks. The staffing is an issue. So I think it's incredibly important to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Be empathetic. That's the word I want to use. To empathize with what's going on, because there is so much being put on the workers that are in right now. There's a shortage currently, so everybody's having to pick up extra slack, and they're working extra hours. And that's not just the hourly employee, that's the manager. So everybody's being worn thin, and we've been doing this for over a year now. COVID has changed everything, and it's made it so it's incredibly tough mentally, physically, emotionally. It takes a toll on you. Now, before going into really about the staffing, okay, because I have a lot to say about the staffing, let's talk about the little things like the liquor and the beer. This has been a problem that I've been facing nonstop, okay? I bring in a lot of the beer and a lot of liquor for the restaurant that I work in. Now, because of that, we have a lot of people that are very upset because we cannot supply the liquor and the beer that they want. Most of the time, there's so many supply chain issues, and this might be something that you've heard on the news or anything like that, but there's a lot of issues with where the product is, getting it shipped, or right now, even as simple as bottling. Okay, so I know that Jim Beam had a problem with their bottling plant. They couldn't get enough bottles manufactured to put their whiskey into a bottle to be able to ship it out. And that actually happened also with a lot of beer companies. They couldn't get a bottle. They couldn't get the glass. They couldn't get the bottles to them to provide bottled beer. So we started seeing a little bit more sales and more people trying to push aluminum cans because they were able to get that, but not the glass. For why? I don't know. Even Miller had an issue with, they still have an issue on supplying a lot of the keg beer. There's only so much that can go around. They're supplying, but there's problems not only with the actual making of the beer, but also the transportation of that beer to the warehouses to where they need to be. And then the people at these big, large corporations that supply liquor to your restaurants and whatnot, or your or general stores or the liquor stores, they get it from a wholesale supplier, which is a warehouse where the people have to pick the stuff up and based on the order and put it in. Now, the problem is they're bringing in all these new people to replace all their people as well. So it's not just the drivers, it's also people in the warehouse. The amount of times I've gotten product that is the wrong product, packed wrong, grabbing the wrong type of liquor. Maybe I want one type of whiskey and they give me a rye whiskey. Maybe I want, my well or house tequila, vodka, whatever it is, and they give me just some even worse well tequila or vodka or rum or whatever it is. So we're getting a lot of mispicks is what you would call that when it comes to the delivery based on the warehouse, the people in the warehouse. And you also have a lot of problems with the drivers. I know there's some beer and liquor orders that'll come in later than usual. And so you have to kind of gauge your order for that. Sometimes I know a lot of people that just order heavy on anything whenever they can and just bring in cases of liquor because they don't know the next time they're going to get it. If you have the space to do that, then go, that's great. But that's not feasible for a lot of places and a lot of mom and pop shops also. So if you go to a local bar that might not be a big chain or anything, it's pretty easy to have an issue of not having enough product. Unless they're not busy, and then they're going to have the product because, they're not busy enough to sell through it. And that problem persists not just with liquor and beer, but it goes into utensils. It goes into plateware. It goes into the boxes for your to-go stuff. Especially at the peak of COVID, we had to go through so many boxes because everybody went to go food. Everywhere was to go only. The boxes started to get run so thin, they literally started making them thinner. So the box quality started going down. Things would melt through or just fall apart and break. And even having troubles on even maintaining enough boxes where you have to go to the store and hopefully they have boxes at, Sam's or something like that to be able to supply the boxes for the restaurant for your to-go food. Same thing with plateware. It gets super difficult in some places, if they're using ceramic plates, stuff breaks. And the problem is if you can't bring it in to replace it, then you're just running through more and more product. And then you're going to start looking tacky because you got to use maybe disposable stuff. And a lot of places had to go to that, using disposable things instead of their regular items, just because we can't get stuff in. Now, move on to food product. All right, food product is a huge problem. Not only do you need the people to make it or catch it or create it, cook it, freeze it, whatever it is that they're doing, whatever food product it is, there's so many different types. It could be the meat, it could be vegetables, it could be a frozen food, fries, it could be anything. It's so easy for it to run into a supply chain issue. And people get livid about this. And I have to deal with guests that are upset all the time because there is just not enough product to go around. Because everybody's still eating out. I don't know if it's a stimulus checks or people are saving money or what, but sales, if you look at sales, at least at the restaurant I'm at, year over year, a normal, rise of maybe 10%, depending on it. We're at 20, 30% up in sales. And it's wild because of it, and it could be because the restaurant I'm at is actually doing a lot better than the restaurants around us. And it doesn't feel like it because everybody's still struggling, but we are able to adapt and change and overcome a lot of the obstacles that we've gone into, which makes more people want to go to us. than places that are running only one server and one cook and just can't manage. But the problem is the mom and pop shops that you might love are going to start falling apart if they haven't already, which is awful. Speaking of food product, I have a lot of friends in the restaurant industry, and there's a huge problem with Sysco, which is the largest food distributor, at least that I know of, in the U.S. I think the top two are probably U.S. Foods and Sysco. I have a lot of friends working at restaurants all over the state saying that they just stopped getting trucks, or the trucks would be days late. In a lot of places, unless they were a corporate account, just aren't getting product anymore from Sysco because they don't have the people to supply it, whether it be the drivers or the people working in the warehouse. So maybe a large, restaurant like Applebee's is a good example that uses Sysco, and a lot of times, maybe they might keep it because it's a large brand, a large corporate contract, but the other places that might be using it won't get their shipment. They won't get what they need. And then that causes more problems, and more people that are upset because it makes a restaurant look like they don't have their shit together because of other people. And frankly, that's just not the case. There's a lot of things that are out of control of the people in the restaurant. The problem is the people up front taking your order, the bartenders and the servers, get the brunt of it because they're the face of the restaurant. They have to deal with all the assholes, most likely you, that are just out there pissed off because they couldn't get their mozzarella sticks. You know what I mean? And it is making it harder to want to be in the restaurant industry because people are getting fed up with it, just like the people working are fed up with it. And so that is just a constant problem that is going on right now. Hopefully it gets alleviated sooner than later, but there's no telling. It's hard to say how long it's going to take before things are truly restored. There are for hire signs everywhere because there's work shortages everywhere. Where are all these people? Whenever this started, I thought, come in June, at least in the state of Missouri, a lot of the unemployment benefits were going to go away. We expected to get a huge number of applications because of that. Because, and I saw firsthand the amount of people that left the job because of stimulus checks and unemployment checks, because especially if they had kids, because you made more money if you had kids than doing whatever job it was. You didn't have to work at that point if you were getting the free money. And you know what? Some people took it, and if you're afraid of COVID, that's one thing, all right? There's only so much for me that I feel like I could just take for free that I haven't earned it. Now, if it worked for you, great. But then once the unemployment started running out, different things started to happen. So first, and I said this on a previous podcast, maybe because people didn't get to enjoy their summer last year because everything being closed down, maybe they're just not going to work for this summer. And they went out and they went and ate. And they went and enjoyed their life. And they went into the lake, or they went to the beach, or they went... Colorado is a huge destination right now. And there's all these people I see and I know that are just enjoying their life, that I think it's just because they finally get the opportunity to. Now, where are the people now? After the unemployment stuff started to run out, it became a thing of you had to apply to so many jobs or get a job and had to try, or else you wouldn't get your unemployment. So, I know a lot of places, including my place, that people would show up for interviews, not get hired, bomb it, maybe work 1 or 2 days, work and get their first check and not show up again. I don't know if that means they get unemployment again. I used to think that didn't work. If you just didn't show up, I didn't think you would be qualified for unemployment. I'm not sure how that works. I'm sure there's a way to get around it and get what you want out of everything, or else it wouldn't be happening as frequently as it did. Now, so the no calls and the no shows and the interview problems, the people that go out to interviews also weren't the cream of the crop, and it gets to the point where everybody's overworked because there's less staff. So your morale of the employees are a little bit down because everybody's just tired. to the point where you're doing whatever you can to get them time away from work, time at home, time with their family, but they have to provide, but they have to work, but you still have to run a business. So you still have to be able to provide, at least in a restaurant, provide food to all these people. So you start to lower your standards and start letting almost anybody walk in the door. Anybody that's willing to take a job, you want to say yes to. And the problem becomes, because of that, it makes more people frustrated because they're dealing with shit employees. They have to deal with a bunch of bullshit, and they're still picking up slack, even though these other people are coming in that they shouldn't have to, or they're getting away with shit that they shouldn't. And it pisses off all the veterans and the people that have been there forever, which I think is an incredibly fair frustration to have. Now, also because of this, now a lot of businesses are raising their wages to try to lure people in. They're having huge referral bonuses to get more people in. And it's still not working. So when you're still raising the wages to get anybody to come in, it's not working. You take away the entire argument about the minimum wage bullshit. You know, if you look at the stimulus checks that came out, if you actually look at the math of what happened and what you got, I think it was what, $1,200 or $1,400 for a week. Do you know where that number came from? It's because if you divide it by 40, it ended up being 15. What they wanted to try to push for the federal minimum wage. So you got that on top of your state unemployment as well. So that's why people got so much money. And so they had two different unemployments that they were actually applied for and that they were getting. Now, because of that, it makes people think that they should get more. And I'm under the school of thought that you should earn that money. These people are wanting $15, $16 an hour for $10 an hour work. That's not how it goes. You know, you have people over at Target, they just raised, from what I understand, they raised rates to $15 an hour. And you know what? Good for those, you know, kids that are bagging up my online order and then bringing it to my car. That's not $15 an hour work. I don't think they deserve that. Great for Target, but that's the only way they could keep people employed. Chipotle did the same thing. They still have a for a hire sign. You know, and the people, I keep seeing people posting all kinds of stuff and memes and all this stuff about it's poor management. The restaurant industry sucks. And you know what? The restaurant industry isn't for everybody. It sucks in a lot of ways. It takes a certain type of person to want to do it. And I fucking love it because it's chaos in a sense. It's something different every day. It's not monotonous, you know? And so it's enjoyable in that extent, but you can't tell me that some of the shit you shouldn't get paid for some of the shit that you have to do in that much at least. But I know a lot of businesses, and factory work is a good example. I have some friends in factories that people are getting pissed off. The veterans are getting pissed off because they're bringing on new people making the same amount of money that people have been there for 15, 20 years. And that sucks. And that's part of the problem whenever you have all these rates that increase. It just becomes a conflict. It makes people upset because they've worked so long to earn this money, where people that are just starting out are making that money. Now, you could have the argument that we should all be happy for each other. We should all make more money. But you didn't work for that money. You just applied for a job and you waited for the wages to go up and take whatever and then get the referral bonus. You know, and so maybe it's a good thing in the long run, but I don't know if you understand how raising rates work. I don't know if you understand the amount of price increases there have been to account for a lot of those rate increases. You know, it makes it pointless to have a raise after all the inflation that's happened. And you can't tell me there's not inflation. It's very obvious. It's right in front of us. Where you might be getting more money, but your buying power, the amount of money you need to afford things, stays the same. So you didn't get a raise in the long run. So it really feels like all this was a ploy to make you feel like you got what you wanted, but you didn't get it because you still need more money now than you did before to get through a bunch of shit. You see what I mean? Like it's there's so much behind the scenes. So and people are so focused on, I need $15 an hour. I need this. I should have benefits, and I should be able to provide for a whole family on one job, which is bullshit. I mean, people have to work. Would it be nice to be able to provide for an entire family? Absolutely. But it's not that easy. That's not how the world works. And that goes into I'm kind of going on a tangent here, and that goes into a whole another thing when you want to talk about the ability to have a UBI, universal basic income. Which is not a bad idea if you take away all the other social net things and the welfare state that things have become. If you take that away, I think UBI isn't a bad idea in the long run. Anyway, those wage increases and those short staffness also goes into management. Okay, so there's been a lot of hourly and management that are getting poached left and right from one place to another because, there's a lot of managers I've heard about nonstop. Everybody's applying for jobs right now, just to be clear. I've even applied for other jobs, all right, just to see, just to get a feel for what's going on out there. And you get some crazy offers from these places because desperation is a thing. And right now, everybody's desperate. They are throwing money out there. Go get a job because you're going to make stupid money now compared to what you did before. But because of that desperation, you're getting all these promises. You're going to get better hours. You're going to get more money. Things are going to go better. But the thing is, if you're doing it in the restaurant industry at the very least, everything's the same. Everywhere you go, it's the same. You're short-staffed. Nobody wants to work. The climate of what staffing levels and how people are now is completely different than what it used to be. I've worked in a restaurant for over a decade now, and it is night and day compared to how it used to be. It is just not easy anymore. There used to be a pretty standard turnover of restaurants. You had the beginning of summer, in spring, summer during once summer break hit, and then the fall once the fall semesters hit. A little bit, but with during the new year because of moving and whatnot, but most of the time was beginning and end of a school year because a lot of restaurants are based on colleges and high schools. So people leaving and going and coming and going home into other places or vacations or whatever. So there's a lot of turnover rate. Right now, the turnover rate for everyone is crazy. The amount of people I've seen turnover recently, kind of what I was talking about already with the interviews and the no-call, no-shows and people working just a week, the turnover has been insane. It's been a constant influx of new people and an exodus of new and old people because people can't deal with this shit anymore and they're just trying to find something different because it's too much at this point. So you're dealing with, one, you're dealing with new people, right? Two, you're dealing with people that are just tired and over it. And then you're dealing with the fact that you don't have enough people. So no matter what, everything starts as, slide a little bit. The standard slide, okay? What I was saying a little bit. So because of lack of employees, managers have to do different things. Maybe their eyes aren't on the prize in a sense. They're not following up with maybe servers and hosts and making sure you're getting the best service possible. Then maybe they're not able to coach and manage the cooks and make sure things are going out. And at the end of the day, you're just trying to get through the shift in a certain way. You're trying to get through the day. And there's a lot more to it than just going in and making food and serving it. There's so many things that go beyond it. And I could honestly talk hours about how a restaurant actually runs. But, the fact that the standards slip make it even more frustrating, more difficult. It makes it more difficult for you. Makes it more difficult for me. The service that you might receive now is not the same as it used to be. Again, it's going to be new people or just not good people, or you're hiring anybody. So just people that honestly aren't qualified to do the job that they've been hired to do, because you'll take anybody at that point. You let certain things slide. Maybe you didn't let people have face piercings and stuff, and then all of a sudden they do it. Depending on the type of restaurant it is, it's different everywhere you go. So there's so many things that begin to slip, so many standards that begin to slide, and then you have the problem when you're trying to recover. When you start to get staff and you want to make things better, you have a lot of pushback because people are so used to those lax rules. So then when you try to get things wired tight the way that you want them, it makes it more difficult. And you have a lot of more frustration because people can't do whatever the hell they want like they were doing. And not saying that people just do whatever they want, but there's a little more, there's a little more lax to the rules maybe. You might get away with things that you wouldn't before. And it causes, again, more morale issues and more issues with the entire operation of a restaurant. And so if you're going out to eat and you have to wait to sit and you see a bunch of open tables because they don't have enough staff. Maybe they have enough servers. Maybe they just don't have enough cooks. They want to make sure that you get food in a decent time so they don't kill the kitchen. Maybe they have enough cooks so there's a lot of to-go food, but they don't have enough servers. Maybe they have enough of everything, but everybody's so new, they're not good at it, and so they have to wait because they're trying to make sure you get the best service possible. And then whenever you finally get sat and you get sit down and you want to get a certain drink, maybe they don't have it. It's not because of the incompetence of the people that work there. It's because most of the time they just can't get the product in. Then you go to order an appetizer. Well, they don't have those mozzarella sticks that I wanted. Maybe I'll go with that. Oh, they don't have that either. Well, fuck me. What else am I going to have? Maybe I'll get, the certain, cut of steak or the certain fish. Oh, you don't have that either? Well, fuck this place. It's easy. And I get it. It's easy to get frustrated. It really is. I would get frustrated if I was going out with a lot of those issues. But then you have to take a step back and understand what's actually going on. This is one of those times where if you understand that, you go back to my very first podcast about if you should tip your waiter or not. Sometimes it's okay to ask information. What's going on? Is it short-staffed here like everywhere else? You know that people are getting just ran to the ground in a sense. And people are tired. I'm tired. I'm trying to do this podcast after working, an 11-hour shift. But we still have to do it. We don't get the choice to not do it. And that's part of having integrity of what you do. You might hate it some days, but we have to do what has to be done. So when you understand that, remember to tip the people that are working for you. They're serving you or, your bartender. Make sure you take care of those people because that'll keep them there. You want to have good service next day, take care of the people this day. And that goes for if you work in a restaurant, it's okay to ask for more money. Okay. I don't want you guys to think that it's not all right to ask for more money, especially, for me, I've been given raises left and right, not because we're just trying to up all of our rates to get more people in. It's more so because they've been dealing with so much bullshit and they deserve it. The people that have stuck through all the shit, stuck through all the people that work for a week and then leave, and that was their glimpse of hope. And then all of a sudden are gone. And speaking of that, there's one thing I missed when I was talking about that. The stimulus check and the unemployment, we thought we were going to get all those applications. And I guess I ran on another tangent. But I'll circle back to it real quick. When we thought unemployment was going to be over in June, we thought we were about to get the flux of applications. And it never happened. And then I figured out something else that was going on called the renter's moratorium, which gave the ability for people not to have to pay their rent and they won't get evicted. So if you only have to pay your utilities and maybe your phone bill, your biggest bill, basically, the biggest bill you have to foot, your rent or your mortgage, wasn't necessary. So it gave you even less reason to go out and get a job. You could keep going. So we've been waiting for that moratorium to kind of go away because at a certain point, people have to pay to be able to live. And so it made it incredibly hard once you had that light at the end of the tunnel you thought was there, and then it never appeared. So now I've seen more applications than I've seen in a while, and I think a lot of it has to do with the renter's moratorium is finally ending. And I am grateful for that. You know, like I said earlier, I'm more staffed than most of the restaurants around us. And more of those people from all the restaurants around are coming to this restaurant because we're doing something different. Because we think about things different. We adapt and we change and we overcome and we try to take care of the people as best we can. And we fuck up a lot. Everybody fucks up. And a lot of people have to deal with a lot of bullshit, which is a reminder that there is so much more than just your selfish ass sitting at a table, not getting your mozzarella sticks or whatever the fuck you ordered. There's so much more than that. Don't take it out on the server. Don't take it out on the bartender. They're doing their best. I promise you they are. I promise you they are. But what I can say is, first, go get a fucking job if you don't have one. All right, let's try to get that's the first step. Let's get this fucking country back. Where are all the workers? That's what I want to know, because it's hard. Because now the flux of new people means it's training season, baby, and that means that's almost more exhausting in some ways. In a different aspect, I guess, it's more exhausting to have to constantly train people and work with people, and it makes it tough at the end of the day to get through the day, because you're constantly having to coach and talk and do this and do that on top of the job you're already doing. So hopefully we get through it. I know we will. I'm not worried about it. The problem is it's been a long haul already. It's been over a year now. And who knows with everything going on with the pandemic, if it's going to happen again, where we get shut down again with the new variant. I think that a private business, if they say you need a vaccine, then, you can't say no to it. If it's a private business, they get to decide any of that. But I think you get into a weird battle of if they're right or wrong, or if that's, if it's even legal. And I'm sure it is. I think it's bullshit, but it's not my decision to make. It's not my business. If they don't want me, if I don't get vaccinated, or they'll only take me if I am. And some businesses saying if you're vaccinated, don't show up either. It's just another way to separate people, and I think we just need to figure out how to figure it out. Wow, that was a fucking awful sentence. Just need to figure a way to just get through it. So there's a lot more to it. Like I said, I have all these long-winded talks, and I could talk about the restaurant forever. And I don't want to just talk about restaurants all the time, and I know a lot of people don't want to listen to it all the time. But if you're in the restaurant industry, I love you. I know you're dealing with a lot. If you're in the bar, industry, I love you. I know you're dealing with a lot. All right. If you're in the retail industry, yeah, most of you people are doing all the curbside pickups now. I don't know. I know that's what I do now. I do all this curbside. If you go to Target and have these little, 17-year-olds making $15 an hour bringing me out, my bag of shit that they went and did for me. I like it because I don't want to have to deal with people and walk through a store to get what I want. But also, I'm a little bit different. I know a lot of women, I should say, and I don't know if I should say that, like to go and peruse and browse with the store. Guys, I think in general is I want in and I want out. I know what I want. So being able to just get on an app, say this is what I want, and get it and go, fucking A, right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take advantage of it. I don't think the person giving it to me should make $15 an hour. I really don't. I just went to Best Buy today and before work. I didn't go in. I just parked and they brought my shit to me. It's great. That's the future, baby. So with that said, if you watch this, thank you so much. I hope it works out. I hope this looks all right on your device, whether it be on your phone or your tablet or your computer or your TV, whatever you're watching it on. If you're listening to it, I hope everything sounds all right. Please leave a comment on Facebook. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube page and follow me whenever you can on any of the streaming services. And thank you so much for listening always, and I love everybody. This is Evan with Clemmons.